Hi, I'm Carly Weathers, and you're watching Crimson Drive driven by NASCAR.
The mix of salty sea air and burnt rubber. The big skies, high banks, and grandstands. The rumble in your chest. That's what we love about the Daytona 500. Honoring history and making it. At the biggest race of the year on the biggest stage of a lifetime. That's what we love about the Daytona 500. You gotta see it to believe it. Secure your experience now at Daytona500.com.
Roll Tide and welcome to this Tuesday edition of Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR. This is Roger Hoover. Great to be with you today from the home office in Birmingham as we take a little bit of a deep breath this week on the Crimson Tide Sports Network. No midweek games for men's or women's basketball before we're very busy inside Coleman Coliseum coming up this weekend. But it's great to have you with us for the show. Again, Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR, streaming live each Tuesday and Thursday on all CTSN social media platforms. Well, we start our show by taking a look at what's coming up on the program, plus our headlines, thanks to our friends RJ Young. RJ Young is the official technology solutions provider of Crimson Drive. Let's see, first of all, what's coming up on the show this afternoon. We'll have our monthly visit with Richard Hendrix, Hoops with Hendrix, talking with former Alabama great and SEC Network basketball analyst Richard Hendrix about what he's seen from Alabama men's and women's basketball. Then we'll take a look back to last night's edition of Hey Coach and the Nate Oats Show presented by Alpha Insurance with some Hey Coach replays, conversations with Ashley Johnston, the women's gymnastics coach at Alabama. Coach Johnston will break down what's ahead for Alabama against Missouri coming up on Friday. Then Nate Oats will preview Alabama against Tennessee coming up this weekend and review the win against Oklahoma. Speaking of the Oklahoma win, we'll round out the show by hearing Chris Stewart on the call with our men's basketball highlights as Alabama got a win from Oklahoma. And yes, he said the phrase at the end of the game. That was certainly good for Alabama this past weekend. We start our headlines with that men's basketball win against Oklahoma. 83-81 was the final score, a place where Alabama has had a tough time over the last few years in the SEC Big 12 Challenge, trying to pick up a win in the Nate Oats era at Oklahoma. Well, now the Sooners are a member of the SEC, and Alabama has that victory. So a great win for Alabama, a 2-point win against the Oklahoma Sooners. Congratulations to Amari Allen, someone we featured in the last few weeks here on the show. Catch his interview on demand on our YouTube page. Amari Allen is the SEC Freshman of the Week as the native of Green Bay put together tremendous performances for Alabama against Mississippi State and Oklahoma to earn the league's top honors for freshmen. Alabama currently ranked number 17 in the AP poll, and next Saturday, a good challenge coming up with the Tennessee Volunteers in Tuscaloosa. 7:30 will be the start time. Our radio coverage will begin at 6:30 across the network for Alabama against Tennessee in men's basketball. Going to women's basketball is a bit of a rivalry weekend for Alabama. Our last show, we previewed Alabama against Auburn, and unfortunately the Crimson Tide fell at Auburn last Thursday, 58-54, and then also a tight game at home against the 20th-ranked Tennessee Lady Volunteers, and it was Alabama falling to Tennessee 70-59 as the Crimson Tide had just ran out of gas just a little bit in the final few moments of that ball game as Tennessee was able to get the win. So the Crimson Tide taking a deep breath this week. Like the men's team, no midweek game coming up, but they will be back in Coleman Coliseum coming up on Sunday against Mississippi State at 2 p.m. Should be a fun day for all the kids with Big Al's Kids Club Day. Certainly Coleman Coliseum is the place to be. Not just for basketball, but also for gymnastics. Alabama gymnastics currently ranked third in the nation, led after 2 rotations last week against the Florida Gators, the nation's top-ranked team, before Florida just edged Alabama in Gainesville. Now, Ashley Johnston, who we'll hear from in just a bit with our Hey Coach replay, she and the Crimson Tide are thrilled to be at home in Tuscaloosa. 6:30 will be the start time for Alabama against Missouri coming up on Friday night. A great opportunity for everyone to see the gymnastics team compete in a regular season for the first time at home in Tuscaloosa. Then a tip of the cap to the Alabama cheerleading squad, the all-girl cheerleading team winning the national championship for Alabama. It is the 8th cheerleading national championship. We visited before in the past with Jennifer Thrasher, who's the head coach of Alabama Cheer and Dance. I hope to have her on with us once again in the future to talk about this championship for Alabama. But everybody seeing all the results come in from Florida this past weekend, and Alabama is number 1. So congratulations to, again, the all-girl cheerleading squad for Alabama winning that national championship, the 8th one in Alabama history. One of our champions here on the Crimson Tide Sports Network is Richard Hendrix, who has joined us in the past as a radio analyst and always joins us once a month on Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR, to give us his thoughts on Alabama men's and women's basketball. Again, not only can you look at Alabama men's and women's basketball, but Richard covers SEC basketball for the SEC Network, so a great authority on all things basketball as we visit with him this month in January for Hoops with Hendrix. How have your travels been all throughout SEC basketball over the last few weeks?
Well, it's been great to get all around the league. It's been some high-level basketball on the men's and women's side. And I think the good thing about the league is that it seems that every single team is improving, and that's exactly what you want to see.
Well, last year there was so much made. We'll start kind of with the league in general to start this conversation. On the men's side, there was so much made about how good the league was, played well in non-conference play, got so many teams to the NCAA tournament. Maybe not quite the same buzz around the league this season, but do you still see so much talent? And could we see a huge march coming up for SEC men's basketball?
I definitely think it's possible. I think last year's run that they had in a non-conference was historic, and it spoiled a lot of people to see how strong that the SEC was to make 14 teams into the NCAA tournament. Didn't have the outing in the non-conference slate that everyone would like to see, but I think it's promising that you see so many teams that are starting to improve because of the continuity that they're gaining mid-season. You got to remember, many of the top teams in the league had veteran core rosters last season with a lot of returners and a lot of age. This year, teams are starting to try to figure it out with a little bit more youth, but they're getting better and better as the season goes. And potentially, if teams get hot at the right time, I think you can see the SEC back representing in the Final Four and maybe even win a national championship.
Any teams you have your eye on maybe that could get hot at the right time? We know Vanderbilt's been off to a good start. Alabama's been in the mix as well. Who could get hot from this group and make a deep run?
Well, I think you have to start with the defending national champions, with the Florida Gators. This is a team that has the best front line in college basketball. But the question has been, can their guard play come up and match the level of what they have with their big men? And you're starting to see with Xavier Lee and Boogie Fland to start to be able to knock down the shot from the outside and play a little bit higher level of ball as of late, that if they can get it together, then I think in the conference, they'll be the team to beat. I think on the flip side, when you look at the next contender, you probably have to lean towards Alabama. It's the opposite with them. It's the guard play that has really been elite. And if they can get something out of this front line, which they're starting to get a lot from Aiden Sherrill down low, I think they can be a significant player when it's all said and done. But there's a lot of good teams in this league. I didn't mention Vanderbilt and what they're doing. They started off hot, but there's a lot of talent in Arkansas's roster. So you got to continue to take everyone in this league, including the Tennessee Vols, who have struggled a little bit as a top-level contender to win the SEC. It's wide open.
It really is. And for Alabama, had a disappointing week with the losses to Vanderbilt, a game you went to in person in Nashville, and then right after that against the Texas Longhorns. But how'd you see Nate Oats get this team ready to go for tough trips against Mississippi State and Oklahoma, two really good wins last week?
Well, it shows the resilience because, quite frankly, I think those two losses with Vanderbilt on the road was a winnable game. Alabama had a lot of momentum going into halftime, but, some cramps and injuries that took place without having Aiden Sherrill and LeBaron Fallon not being able to participate in the second half, I think played a significant role in Alabama pulling that game out. And they still could have won. The game against Texas was something that caught them off guard. But it was the response to go on the road at Mississippi State, a team that was playing really good basketball. You have one of the leading scorers in the country and in the league, and Josh Hubbard, who's been playing at an elite level. To bounce back the way they did in that second half and win that game in Starkville was huge. And then the resiliency once again on the road in Norman against a team that really needed a win, and to hold on and down in the stretch of the game show that Alabama has a lot of fight. It's a talented team, and if they can get things together and continue to be focused for 40 minutes for every single game, then I think they have to have a lot of confidence in their roster and their staff to be able to be competing for an SEC championship.
And to compete as well, you need some high-level players, starting with, let's go first of all with Aiden Sherrill, because you've talked about the need for Alabama in this system to have a big man really step up as a rim protector and then somebody who can just play the game at a high level. How has Aiden Sherrill filled that role this year?
Well, I thought he's done a phenomenal job here in his second year. He seems to have leaned up a little bit, which is making him a little bit more active and light on his feet. You can see the production as far as the defensive side with his ability to rim protect, being one of the top shot blockers in the conference. His rebounding ability has started to pick up significantly for Alabama, which is huge. And finishing down low, we've seen a nice array of low post moves and footwork and touch. And when he starts on the inside being productive, we know that he was recruited as a big man that had the outside range, and that starts to come together. So you're starting to see the maturity in Aiden Sherrill and what he can potentially be. And if he can continue to play at a high level, then he, in my opinion, will be the key to how far Alabama can go.
And a lot of people would point to as well, LeBaron Philon Jr. in his sophomore season at Alabama. Dynamic scorer. He's been better on defense lately as well. Just what he's seeing out of Philon's game and the kind of impact he's going to have on this team down the stretch.
Supreme level of confidence. I mean, when I watch LeBaron Philon, this is a guy who I really believes that in his mind, he thinks when he has you on an island, that he has the upper hand. And right now, he's playing with so much confidence. He's crafty on the perimeter. When he gets in the paint, he has so much poise to be able to make a play around shot blockers or using soft touch over the top. His outside shot is starting to fall. And he plays well with his backcourt mate, Aiden Holloway. I think those two guys, they play so well together that they understand how to move without the ball. They can also be the point guard and bring it up and orchestrate things within the offense. And when they get a clean look, they're confident they can knock it down. So it's Philon, but it's also when he's paired with his backcourt mate, Holloway, which really makes this dynamic duo impressive for Alabama.
And then how does freshman Amari Allen kind of impact the game as well? He was recently named the SEC Freshman of the Week.
Well, this kid is extremely impressive to me. At 6'8", he plays with so much level of maturity. He's a willing rebounder, likes to get his nose in there and do a lot of the dirty work things for the team. But he also has a nice skill set. He can run the point. He can set things up for the shooters on the perimeter. He has a physicality where he can use his size and get close to the basket and get to the free throw line. And defensively, he's disruptive, far more disruptive than what you would expect for a freshman who didn't necessarily come in as a highly touted guy, but the confidence that you see, he has a mentality that he is the man, and he plays that way, and it's very important for Alabama. It's going to be important for Alabama moving forward that the confidence level of everyone on the court that's checking in the game or in the starting five is at a high level. You have to work your minutes, come in, do your job, and when you do that, that's when you'll see Alabama playing at its best.
That's what Crimson Tide fans want coming up on Saturday. You mentioned Tennessee when we talked about some of the contenders in the Southeastern Conference. What kind of game can we expect between the Vols and the Crimson Tide Saturday night?
Well, that's always going to be physical, and Tennessee's looking for a win. And Alabama has struggled with the Vols as of late. And you know that Rick Barnes is going to have his team motivated as they've been able to drop one against Kentucky at home, a team that was struggling early on in conference play but has seemed to pick it up under the leadership of Mark Pope. But this is a game that Tennessee needs. And Alabama loves to get out and play with the free-flowing style. Tennessee traditionally loves to grind things out. They have some physical bigs that can get on the offensive glass, and they try to defend. But I do think that since Alabama has dropped 2 games early on, there's a sense of urgency for the Crimson Tide. So this is going to be a big matchup and have some time to prepare for the Vols. I think that Alabama will be ready. But you got to understand there'll be a huge sense of urgency for the Tennessee Volunteers.
Well, the last basketball game we saw inside Coleman Coliseum was a women's game against Tennessee this past Sunday. Of course, you've called a lot of Alabama women's games on SEC+. You and I will team up for one coming up this week with Alabama against Mississippi State. But where do you see this women's basketball team right now as we continue getting deeper in SEC play?
Well, I think Christy Curry is doing a phenomenal job. You know, this was a team that is replacing 3 players that were drafted into the WNBA. And I think from the outside, I think a lot of people felt like this would be a rebuilding year. And they came out in the non-conference and got through it undefeated, which was very impressive. And a lot of people may have said that maybe they didn't have much of a challenging non-conference roster. Well, I think that was credit to the coach. You have to give them give them credit for the scheduling to make sure they can fill out how their team is playing. And they got to conference play and up 3-1 in the league after dropping the first one to South Carolina. They showed that this team is legit. And you beat a tough Kentucky team that believes they're a contender to make it to the Final Four. To do that and then do it with the resiliency and the overall team play and balance and the leadership of your guards in Carly Weathers and Jessica Timmons, I thought has shown that this team is definitely here to be reckoned with. Now, they have some injuries. They're going to have to get healthy, and they're going to have to make sure that they regroup after dropping 2 games that I believe were winnable, although they did not have full strength. But if they can get back to full strength and continue to play in with this synergistic style and balance that they had in the earlier games, I think they can really be a team to be reckoned with in conference play.
And in your time broadcasting Alabama women's basketball, I believe Carly Weathers maybe was a freshman since she first joined us on SEC Plus a few years ago. Just how have you seen her evolve as a player to now being one of the key go-to players for Christy Curry?
Well, I think you're spot on. She has impressed me immensely. And this is a player who comes from an athletic family and has come into a team and been to the NCAA tournament, I believe, in every year she's been on campus. So she knows how to win. On a team last year that had so much firepower, she led the team in minutes. So you know how much this coaching staff trusts her. There were questions about what she could do in a different role as far as the point production being gone from last year's team. Would she have to step up to be the #1 player on this roster, and how would she be able to do it? Well, I think she's answered every one of those questions, and she's done it in her own way. This is a player that can impact the game in so many ways. Defensively, always in the passing lanes with active hands and tremendous level of anticipation. She is rebounding at a high level and very physical. She shoots the ball with a lot of confidence on the outside, and she can also bring it up and orchestrate the offense. So anything that is needed to be done to win the ball game, Carly Weathers is doing that for the team. And it's not surprising to see that she has continued to improve this year, because she's improved every single year that she's been at Alabama, and she's looking to go out in her senior year to see if they can continue to make some noise.
Crimson Tide getting great production from her. Jessica Timmons on the perimeter. In the post, you mentioned some injuries. Essence Cody unavailable for the last 3 games for Alabama. So that means it's been a lot of Naomi Jones. Someone, again, we saw a few years ago when she first broke in as a freshman, but hasn't been healthy since then until this season. What have you made of her kind of making the most of this opportunity this year?
Well, I've been impressed with Naomi Jones. She's turned the corner as a big who has missed a lot of time due to injury. It's been a question of what can she do, and people, quite frankly, looking to see how she would contribute to this team. But I tell you, on the defensive end, she has incredible shot blocking skills. I mean, to remain out of foul trouble and block the shots with both hands, moving her feet, walling up with verticality. She really gives Alabama a big-time presence on the back line. Now, if she can get her offensive game to match the defensive game, then I really think she will be something serious for Alabama. But I've been impressed with what she's been able to do, particularly in her role. And as this team continues to get healthy, as you touched on earlier with Jessica Timmons coming back from injury and playing high-level ball, and if you can get Essence Cody back into the fold, getting those two on the court together in that front line with Cody and with Jones, I think can be significant for Alabama. But this is a staff that does a tremendous job of finding the issues and the problems of other teams and doing their best to exploit those deficiencies. So I have full confidence that Christy Curry and her staff will do everything they can to put their players in the best position to be successful.
Well, the next time we see Alabama women's basketball, again, you and I will be on the call on Sunday for Alabama against Mississippi State on SEC Network Plus. How about for you? Give us your schedule over the next bit as we get ready for more basketball games to round out January. Where are you going to be coming up on the SEC Network?
Well, on the SEC Network, I'll be starting off tomorrow. I'll be headed up and checking out the Kentucky Wildcats as they continue to get their momentum going against the Texas Longhorns in Rupp Arena. So that should be a really good matchup as two teams that are trending in the right direction. I'll also have coming up Auburn women's basketball and Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt playing really good basketball, a top 5 team and still undefeated as they went out of conference with a big top 10 victory over Michigan. So it's going to be a lot of high-level ball in the SEC, and I'm looking forward to seeing it. And obviously seeing the level of Alabama, because those are two high-level teams on the men and women's side.
We look forward to it. Richard, always a blast to catch up with you on Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR. Just thank you for your time. Safe travels, and we'll see you in Tuscaloosa Sunday. Roll Tide.
Thank you so much. Roll Tide.
Hi, my name is Amario, and you're watching Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR.
Appreciate the time of Richard Hendrix, and now we turn our attention to Baumhauer's Victory Grill last night, where we had a fun edition of Hey Coach and the Nate Oats Show. And the first half hour of the show, it was Chris Stewart talking gymnastics. Kylie Kwame was there from the gymnastics team, along with Ashley Johnston, the head coach of the Crimson Tide, who has liked what she's seen so far as Alabama is third in the nation on that road to nationals, and now finally gets to compete at home in Tuscaloosa. Full preview of that coming up with Ashley Johnston on our Hey Coach replay.
As we welcome in the head coach of the Alabama Crimson Tide gymnastics program, former Tide gymnast herself, Coach Ashley Johnston. Always good to see you.
Thanks for having me. Always great to be here.
And great to be able to talk to you coming off of a great performance for your squad. If you're talking head-to-head, did you beat the opponent? I know you didn't get out with the W, but, man, you got out of Gainesville knowing that you can go toe-to-toe with the best program right now in terms of rankings in the country.
Absolutely. You know, from every competition, we learn a ton along the way. And I think for us, you know, we took the result. We learned a lot. We had an imperfect night, and still we're toe-to-toe with the best team in the country. And so this team is talented. They're special. They're connected. And so there's a lot of excitement and enthusiasm around what we're creating and building right now. And so that's a great win for us right now. And so we're using that to plug into how do we be undeniable? How do we make sure that we don't leave any of those tents out on the table as we continue to progress through what is a pretty long season?
Sure. Clemson a week ago, and then Florida this past weekend. Really good scores both places. What'd you learn most about this group over the last 2 weekends?
You know, I can't say I learned this, but it was great to see the reassurance of how badly this team wants to be the best in the country. I think all fall long, they've been saying that, they've been working like that, but for them to really be courageous and bold and put those skills into competition was great to see them put the exclamation mark on that. And so I'm excited for them. You know, I feel like I've said this all the time, that you don't say the culture, you do the culture.
Right.
And I'm seeing a team that is so connected. They hold each other accountable. They do the work. They don't let the turns be undone. They finish extra time. Like they're doing all the things that are in alignment with building a championship team. And so again, I'm not learning that, but I am seeing it play out in real time in competition. And then they're also responding really well. And so the things that are wins, that are successes, they're taking that and trying to repeat that level of excellence. And then the things that didn't go their way, they're problem solving and finding ways to get better that, and not taking it personally, but they're trying to do their job to the best of their ability. So again, we're just getting started, but really excited about what we're seeing right now.
So you've gone on the road twice to start the year. How much does that experience help you as you come back home and you're facing another top 10 team in Missouri?
I think it really helps us learn how to just rely on each other and not rely on our fans and the support and the environment as we go into some of these places. Clemson was a really great supportive environment. Florida, a little bit more cutthroat, but still very exciting and hype. But I think it taught us to really lean in and rely only on, you know, the 20 to 25 of us that are out on the floor together. And I think that will be a beneficial lesson as we compete in Coleman this weekend, because sometimes I do think our team tries to do a little bit better in a home crowd because they want to make everybody proud. They want to, you know, create a buzz and an excitement in their own arena. And I think it was a great lesson for us to just do our thing, do our average, trust each other, and we'll take that at home this weekend.
So it's tough to lean on freshmen, but your squad's not afraid to. Big contributions have led to big success. Azaria Akbar, did I get that right?
Azariah Akbar.
I'm so.
We call her Azza. Just go with Azza.
Then I'm going to go with Azza as well.
Sure.
I got cocky and tried to do the whole thing and messed it up. Jasmine Cawley,
yes,
how about that? Those are your two, Azza and Jasmine. What have you seen from those two in particular that have allowed them to settle in so quickly in college?
You know, I think what's been really special about both of those two freshmen and our whole freshman class really is that we've been preparing them from day one of recruiting them. And so even though they're freshmen on our team, I kind of feel like they're juniors because we've been talking to them about what this experience has been like for so long now. I also think it's a huge testament to our leadership, to people like Kylie, who you're going to hear from in a little bit, of how they've onboarded our freshmen and helped them understand what to expect. Like, our team has been unwilling to let a whole year go by where our freshmen are just learning. They're like, no, you're not here to just sit on the side and watch. You're here to be a part of making a difference. And so I think that it's really been our culture and our leadership that has helped them understand that this is the standard. This is what we expect out of anybody that's an Alabama gymnast, and we're going to hold you to it. And that helps everybody get better.
Ashley Johnston here, and a young lady in Kylie Kwame that, Coach, I know you're extremely proud of. We'll let you handle the full intro of this young lady. How about that?
Oh, goodness. I could really go, I could go all over the place with this. Kylie's recruiting process is always one of my favorites because Kylie jumped onto the scene super late in her club career, had an unexpected injury. And so she was in your senior year, I feel was one of the top kids in the country. And we were like, holy cow, we have to have her on our team.
Right.
And I thought she was leading us on for the longest time because I was like, why is this girl not committing to us? She's been on a visit. She says she loved it. And so finally she was like, yes, I'm coming. Did you guys not know that? I'm coming, obviously.
Yeah, right.
And I was like, no, you have to make this official. And so her recruiting process just always kind of makes me laugh. But I feel like it's really a reflection of our relationship now where she's like, yeah, I was going to hit that beam routine. I don't know why you're asking me that before. That was my plan. Was that your plan? And she's just a really fun, special athlete that I feel like we've been able to lean in, joke with each other, and really connect in a way that I think has helped unlock some things in her that she is now really showing off in a competition floor. And really just thankful for her leadership along the way as well.
Awesome. Speaking of beam, Kylie, you had a 9.925 at Florida, high pressure environment. Tell me what was working for you that night, and how did it feel to have that type of performance in what was the closest of meets you could have, I think?
Yeah, for sure. I kind of just stuck with my regular process, calming myself down, talking myself down, keeping my nerves down and stuff like that. But that's all I've been practicing in the gym for the past 3 months, and I really just kicked it up a notch in the last month of preseason of calming myself down. I even actually lay down fully and just feel every single muscle in my body to completely relax, and then cues throughout my beam routine really help. But really it felt great finally getting that 9.925 or just really hitting 9.9 even. But I think a lot of it was just fulfilling, and it really just felt normal. It was super great to actually do it in a competition for the first time, but it really just felt quite normal. So I'm excited to keep going with that.
Doesn't matter if you're in kindergarten or in college, nap time is so very important.
Yes.
So we basically got that from Kylie there. You are a sophomore now, kind of in between freshman into a sophomore, where you got experience, but there's still a lot to learn. You probably understand that better now as a sophomore, but tell me about the dynamic between the returning gymnast and the freshman developing in these first few meets.
Yeah, so when we say we're a family, I mean, we truly are. I call Jameson my mom, Gabby Gladio my dad, but bringing Azza, Jazzy, Kenzie, Noella, Darren, we brought them in as a family, and we helped them move in. Personally, I warned them the new things that might hit them in the meet, or something that they can look at. We got thrown into a lot of things, the cheers, but I secretly tell the freshmen what's going on when something unexpected is going to hit you and stuff like that.
Here's the thing, though. You say you warn them, but based on what Coach told me during the break, can they actually trust you? Because you apparently have the best sense of humor on the roster.
She did throw me into a foam pit today.
Yeah, well,
I did.
Yeah, that stuff you do as a sophomore when you feel good about where things are, not as a freshman. But I'm not going to ask you to tell us a joke because you got a great sense of humor. That's a cruel thing. But
I think where Kylie's such a difference maker in that is that she's created and normalized a new language in our culture, right? I think, when you go to another family, everybody's got their own little isms and traditions that are unique to that family.
Sure.
And I feel like Kylie has really spearheaded a lot of that in our family. And so it's really special when people come on a recruiting trip or they just come stop by and visit the gym. All of these little isms and things that are just unique to what we are creating. I feel like you've really been one of the courageous, bold ones who's kind of stepped out and been like, I don't care what people think. This is what we're about. This is what we believe in. This is what we're excited about. Join us or don't. And I think there's been such clarity in the vision of what we're creating. And I can't speak highly enough of kind of what Kylie's contribution has been in that. It's been really cool.
Awesome. Last thing before we let you go, you got Friday night against Missouri. We mentioned that a little bit earlier, but Kylie, what excites you most about competing back at home, and what would you say to the fans who are trying to decide whether to come out and be a part of the atmosphere or not?
Yeah, I think it's going to be great. Being back in Coleman is going to be so different from having first 2 away meets, especially for the freshmen. I'm excited for them to really see our fans pop out for us rather than cheering against us at those away meets. But, yeah, it's going to be great. We're ranked 3rd, so I would personally come. I think we're going to do great. It's going to be fun and stuff like that. So
moved up in the rankings this week with the great performance at Florida. And, Coach, I'm sure your message is probably similar.
Yeah, I think this team is really special, you guys. You're going to see that, not just in their gymnastics, but the way they connect, the way they cheer each other on, the supportive culture that we have created. This team's been fed up at not getting what they've wanted out of these last couple of years. They've had some real spectacular highlight moments that will go down in history, but they want more. And so I think this is a team that's really fiery and excited and ambitious about really going after those things. And I think you see and feel that when you watch them. And so I just encourage everybody to come out 6:30 p.m. It's got a consistent start time all season, and it's going to be a really exciting show.
Fantastic. Coach Ashley Johnston, Kylie Kwame, thanks so much for the time. Great to see you both.
Roll Tide.
Congrats on the success, and good luck this weekend as well.
Hi guys, I'm Jameson Sears on Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR.
This isn't just a race, it's the race. 500 miles of glory, a million memories, one place. That's what we love about the Daytona 500. You gotta see it to believe it. Secure your experience now at Daytona500.com.
Mentioned Kylie Kwame, Ashley Johnston were at Baumhower's last night. Same could be said for Aiden Sherrill of the Crimson Tide men's basketball team. And then his head coach, Nate Oats, joined Chris Stewart to talk about the win against Oklahoma, preview Alabama against Tennessee coming up on Saturday. Here is our Hey Coach replay with the head coach of the Crimson Tide, Nate Oats.
Head coach of the Crimson Tide joining us now from Baumhower's Victory Grill. Coach Nate Oats, welcome. First of all, congratulations. A fantastic week. You go on the road, you get 2 W's at places where it is not a given that that'll take place.
No, I mean, Mississippi State's not a easy place to play. You know, and they had some good wins, so that was a big one to start. And then obviously we'd never wanted Oklahoma. Including that year, we had number 1 overall seed in the tournament. We had the best team in the country and went up there and lost by about 30. So we had not played well there. We didn't have a very good close to the half up there this year. And then guys came out and really answered the bell, start that second half. And then we were able to close the game there on a pretty good run, too. So a lot of good things in that. Still got to get healthy to get our full squad back, see what we can really do here. But, shoot, a lot better be going in this bye week with 2 games. Two wins on the road rather than some losses there.
You told me before the game you were excited to learn about your team and who they were because you'd lost 2 in a row. It's rare that that's happened for you in the last few years as the head coach at Alabama, and you're down 14 with 8 minutes to go in the first half, and you're staring a 3rd straight in the face if that trend continues. Tell me how much it meant to see them respond the way they did in that type of adversity.
You know what? I did want to see what they were built out of. We down to really 8 guys in the rotation, 2 of which hadn't been in the rotation a whole lot. So the 6 guys that had played in the rotation heavy up to that point, they were going to have to play. They were going to have to bring it. And we weren't great to start the game. I didn't think we were terrible. A few things didn't go our way. They made some shots. We didn't. But we also weren't playing quite hard enough, and we kind of really challenged them. And we flipped that thing in a hurry. Went from down 14 to up whatever it was there in about a 20-minute stretch. About the last 7.5 minutes the first half, and the beginning 10 or so minutes that second half, we flipped that thing by, 30 points or more there pretty quick. So I think we show what we're capable of on both sides of the ball when we put our mind to it. Backcourt, I felt like, Holloway and Philon kind of really got going there. Thought that we did a pretty good job. He ended up getting his season average, but a lot of those points came after we were up 20, with Hubbard. I thought that we did a pretty good job on Hubbard for, until we built the lead up, and then he kind of filled up stat sheet there. But I thought we did a pretty good job on him, and they only had two guys getting double figures, both in their backcourt. So our front court did a pretty good job. That was Aiden and Sherrill ended up with back-to-back 20-plus point games. So front court's, particularly Aiden's, really coming around like we need him to. Now if we can put the defense, the offense, and get some guys healthy and put the whole thing together, we got a chance to make a run here.
Coach, you have to deal with me enough during the week. Let's get a couple questions from the folks.
Agreed. Yeah, come on. Let's hear them from somebody else.
I'm fine with that too. Let you talk to somebody else. Pee Wee in Grand Bay, our first
How did we guess?
caller. How did we guess? It's brought to you by Alabama 811. Help prevent injuries, outages, loss of life. Call 811 or visit al811.com before you dig. It's free. It's simple. It's the law. It's Pee Wee down in Grand Bay. Hey, buddy.
Hey, man. Coach, how are you, sir?
He said, how you doing, Coach? You got the cough button hit there.
My fault.
Rookie.
Sorry. I couldn't. I didn't hear you. I'm doing great. Did you get snow down there? I heard we had some snow down in the southern parts there.
Yes, sir. We didn't get any, just a little bitty flurry, but over in the Panhandle, around Dothan and all that, they got a lot over there.
That's what I heard. I know last year you got a little snow. They're not used to that around these parts.
Last year I got 8 inches in my yard last year.
That's crazy. No snow up here yet. It's cold though.
Before I ask a question, Coach, I wanted to congratulate our all-girl cheerleaders for winning the national championship today down in Florida. Chris had mentioned it earlier. I think it's their 8th one. I just wanted to give them a quick shout-out, sir.
That's impressive. You know what? It makes me feel good. We had to give the gym up. We couldn't shoot in the gym because they needed to practice. So at least when we gave the gym up to them practice, and we went for a good cause there. So congrats to the cheerleading squad for their national championship. Championship school, right, Pee Wee?
That's correct, sir. Coach, my question is, we've had some injuries here the past few weeks that we've had to fight through and everything, and Aiden looked, a lot better than he'd looked the 2 prior games. But I was just wondering, how Trelly and the rest of the guys are and how much this off week is going to mean to getting them ready to play Tennessee on Saturday.
Yeah, this off week came at the exact right time with all the injuries we've got. We got to get some guys healthy. Trelly's coming along. I technically gave him 2 off days in a row. We took Sunday and Monday both off, but Trelly got in with our trainer, was able to go through a basketball workout just to see how he is. He said he's starting to look better and better, so he'll be starting to put himself back into practice this week. Taylor's still coming. We may hold him out, just try to get that hand a little bit more healed up. We got a list of guys, I think.
That's when you hit the button when you cough.
That's what it doesn't say coughed. It says guess. They should say cough button.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it doesn't say that. It's just shortstop. So if I just want to have a shortstop and
just had to mess with you.
The other guys that are injured though, I don't know. Like we've got some guys that are playing injured. Amari Allen. I think this off week will be good for him. He's had that ankle injury since the Kentucky game. A lot of guys banged up, so we'll see where Davion, Keaton, Amari, Taylor, and Trelly, all these guys that are banged up, if we can't get, some of them back, at least practicing, middle of this week, and then see what we can get. We should have more Saturday than what we had. Should have Mississippi State for sure, and then even more than what we had at Oklahoma. So we'll continue to add guys back to the mix here as this week goes on, I hope.
Thank you for the call, Pee Wee. Let's stay with the phones, Coach, and a guy who has traveled many miles to see us in person, our buddy Morgan up in Elizabethtown, Kentucky. Go ahead, Morgan.
What's up, Morgan?
Hey, Coach, how you doing tonight?
I'm good. I saw Morgan brought me a gift the other day.
It's a pretty cool gift.
It was really cool, actually. I appreciate it. I haven't talked to Morgan since we got that back to the office.
It's my pleasure. I was glad to present that to you, Coach. And you got a Kentucky Colonel sitting right there to your left. And you guys are amongst good company. I don't know if you've had time to take a look at who all is Kentucky Colonels, but there's quite a few great people in the world that are. And I was proud to give that to you, Coach.
Go ahead, buddy. What you got?
Yeah,
no, it was really
my
cool.
question tonight for you, Coach. You had mentioned that free throws have zero variance other than what's in a player's head. And over the last 3 games, we've seen our free throw percentage swing from a season high 82% at Mississippi State to a season low 58% at Oklahoma. From a coaching standpoint, when you've seen that kind of volatility at the line, how much of that do you attribute to the mental fatigue of a high possession system? And how do you keep the guys from letting the cold night at the line affect their aggressiveness and hunting rim pressure? And thanks for taking my call, and roll tide.
Yeah, no problem. The Kentucky Colonel Award you gave me was definitely dampened when I found out Chris got one too. Like I thought I was something special, and I found out you got one for Chris too. So that's a little disappointing. But,
With my medical pass, they feel like it's important to get me stuff as quick as possible. It wasn't like I deserved it more than you.
No, I'm just kidding. But to address the question, listen, the free throws are a little frustrating. You know, I feel like we've gone the skilled route with our players. We want everybody on the floor to be able to pass, dribble, shoot. I think our bigs, our front court players are better shooters than most teams shoot than pretty much every team we play, and we've recruited that way. That's how we want to play. You know, Aiden's an elite shooter. He just went 10 for 11 from the line 2 games ago. So for us to go like we did and then drop, you know, as much as it did, I think it's more attributed to not being focused on like where your feet are. And I always make the point to our guys, when you're locked in, you're locked in. When you're locked into the game at hand, you step to the line, you make your free throws, like you put enough reps in to do it. So, you know, a lot of guys were in today on an off day, getting some free throws in, you know, from what I was told. And I just think that they got to come in and they got to put some time in. We got to get the reps in, and then they got to trust their work. So I don't think it's a mental fatigue on our system. I hope that, you know, most of the time when we play these other teams, we're in much better shape and condition than them. So to me, they should be more fatigued. They're not used to playing at our pace. They should be the ones more fatigued. We're used to it. So I would hope with the combination of putting more skilled players out there every game and being the team in better shape and more conditioned to play fast, that we should be better free throw shooting team. And for us not to be the better free throw shooting team against Oklahoma was a little frustrating. But, you know, Mississippi State, we were. I also say, you know, in the loss against Texas and Vanderbilt, both, I mean, free throws could have definitely helped in both those losses. So yeah. I don't want to say it's not like we shot 50%, but we could have been better. And if you're a little better, game may have gone a little different way. So we got to focus in on that, particularly this week when we've got a bye game.
A couple of things real quick. Last question for me before we get your final word. Give us a little breakdown on Tennessee and what we'll see when the Vols come in on Saturday.
You know, it's in some regards, it's your typical Tennessee team under Coach Barnes. They're going to be tough, physical, try to get you off your driving line, extremely hard playing on defense. They got multiple bigs that are going to really get to the old board. I think they're number 1 in the country in offensive rebounding rate. So our defensive rebounding is going to be tested. You know, our ball security is going to be tested. They get up into you. They're physical. You know, they maybe don't have quite the same personnel. I mean, Majak they had some of the best defenders in the country in the past. Now they Still got the system's great. Coach Barnes is great. They've got some very talented offensive players. And their defense is still top 20. I mean, I couldn't imagine it being anything different under Coach Barnes. But, you know, they've also had some losses that they've taken. I'm sure he's going to have them ready to go. They've got a bye game just like we do. So they'll have a week to prep for us just like we do for them. So it'll be a good game. You know, we get them at home. So hopefully our crowd comes out and we get a lot of student support, a lot of support period from everybody in the building.
All right, time for your final word, or maybe that was it. Presented by McCurry Van and Car Rental. The final word from Coach Oats, again, presented by our friends at McCurry Van and Car Rental. What have you got for us, Coach?
Look, great two-game stretch going into this bye week. We come out of the bye week. We need to go on a run here. We got 13 conference games left. We're one game back, tied with 7 teams, one game back from 2 teams in front of us. So we got to come back playing well. We need all the crowd support we can get. We got a 2-game homestand coming up here, and we need to have the crowd behind us. Our guys need to be playing well. We need to support. So I like where we're at. We get our team healthy, go on a run here, and try to hopefully, in a few weeks, by the middle of February, we're competing for a SEC championship again. I think we're right there.
Always appreciate the time. Great to see you. Thanks so much.
Great seeing you, Chris. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide. Coach Nate Oats with us.
Last night it was Hey Coach kicking off our week of programming here on the Crimson Tide Sports Network. Now we'll take a look at what else is coming up on the network. Starting on Thursday, we'll have another edition of Crimson Drive driven by NASCAR. Look forward to some men's basketball player interviews on that show, plus a conversation with Christy Curry previewing Alabama women's basketball later in the weekend. But no midweek game, no Tuesday or Wednesday night showdown for men's basketball or a Thursday night game for women's basketball, as both teams are currently on their bye week, and then they will get back to action this weekend. Don't forget Gymnastics at home on Friday night, and then we'll be at Coleman Coliseum as well on Saturday for Alabama against Tennessee in men's basketball, 6:30 our start time there. And then on Sunday, the women's basketball team against Mississippi State starting at 1:45. We'll also have a basketball booth cam presented by NASCAR streaming live for both of those games. Then next week, we'll start it all over again with Hey Coach at Baumhauer's at 6 p.m. Crimson Drive driven by NASCAR Tuesday and Thursday at 2 o'clock as well. To make sure you don't miss anything from the Crimson Tide Sports Network, make sure you go ahead and follow us on all of your social media platforms, especially if you're watching on YouTube. Go ahead, hit subscribe, click the bell to turn on notifications so you won't miss anything. It's so easy now to watch our shows, especially on the YouTube app, on your smart television. You can watch just from the comfort of your own home on television, all of our programming here on the Crimson Tide Sports Network. It's going to wrap up this very busy Tuesday edition of Crimson Drive driven by NASCAR. Huge thank you to our guest, Richard Hendrix, for Hoops with Hendrix to begin the show. And then last night's edition of Hey Coach, conversations with Ashley Johnston and Nate Oats. Appreciate Chris Stewart for his great questions and hosting that program as well. The man that produced that show, at least on the video side last night, was Ethan Carabin. He also produces this show. He's our video producer for the Crimson Tide Sports Network. And he put together a great highlight montage from Alabama men's basketball's win against the Oklahoma Sooners last Saturday. So as I, Roger Hoover, say goodbye on this Tuesday afternoon, we'll go back to Chris Stewart, Brian Passink, giving you the final moments of Alabama's win against Oklahoma in men's basketball. Appreciate Ethan producing this as we say goodbye on this Tuesday afternoon, but hope to talk to you again coming up Thursday for Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR. So long, everyone. Roll Tide.
Amari on the drive to his right, keeps going, goes all the way to the rim, lays it up, count it, and he is fouled. The toughness, the strength, the will of Amari Allen. Sherrell, he'll pivot, he'll dribble left, he'll drive into the paint, he'll stop, he'll spin, he'll shoot, he'll score over Waukee, and he is fouled. Pack on the right wing, fall away jumper, no good. Rebound tipped and claimed by Millett for Alabama. Here comes Houston, flipping it ahead to Philon. From the wing for 3, bottom! LeBaron Philon on the assist from Houston Millett. LeBaron down the lane, kicks it to Sherrell. He'll stop, he'll spin, he'll look, he'll find Millett for the lead. Bottom! Houston Millett, a bank first 3, and Bama leads at 76-75. Bama the ball in a 1-point lead. Philon on the drive, got tripped, kept his balance, reverse layup, good, and he is fouled. Oh, mercy! Pack looking to get it in. Does to Waukee, back to Pack, 3, no good. Tip, no good. and let's get out of here. Bama hangs on, 83-81. One of their most deadly three-point shooters had a dead-on look, missed it. The tap-in by Wagee wouldn't go, and the Tide hangs on. 83-81 is your final.